You're about to enjoy a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights despite their sometimes rocky paths and found a way to lead in. So today we have Kathleen Seymour, the director at Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Southern California and Hawaii. Hello, Kathleen. How are you today?
Oh, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. I know I'm not supposed to call you Mayor, but Rebecca, thank you for having me on today.
Oh, you're so welcome. And, now this month is, what is it?
Well, it's both. It's Blood Cancer Awareness Month and Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So it's a perfect month for us to be hanging out and chatting about all things.
Definitely. And no one can see me, of course, but I have my gold ribbon on today.
Yes.
In the spirit.
Absolutely. One of the very first things we talked about, right?
Yes. I think all the things that are happening, with folks really thinking more about their health with the pandemic and all of that, I think it's really become more of a topic of interest of how do we keep our bodies healthy? And a lot of that is, through all of the, through the diseases and all the exploration and the things that we're finding out about how disease works in our bodies and how we can keep ourselves more healthy is very important and timely. And I love all of the research that you do at your organization. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, what a pleasure. Absolutely. So we are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is the leading organization that is investing in blood cancer research. So since 2017, there's been about 70 new treatments that have come onto the market, and LLS has advanced 85% of them. So that's in the range of 60. And that's not where the story ends. So it's fantastic that we're bringing new treatments to patients that need it, but those treatments are often going on and helping other types of cancers and other chronic diseases. So things that were discovered first in blood cancer are going on to help breast cancer, are going on to help. There's clinical trials with all sorts of autoimmune diseases that are going on right now. So if you really want to invest in and be a part of a movement that is really curing cancer, LLS is a great organization to learn more about and get involved in.
I love that. I was hoping that you would go into all of that because it's true. And a lot of, the things that we thought were absolutely 100% not curable or manageable have now become very manageable, very curable. And I think, dare I say it, I think there could be a cure. Honestly, very soon. We have so many bright minds working on that.
We do. I've been with LLS for just about 10 years, which, blows my mind. And just in the last couple of years, our CEO, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Lou DeGennaro, is using two phrases that, having been in this cancer space for most of my career, just shocks me. And the word is cure and really meaning it. And, blood cancer is 100 different diseases. So to know that we are really on track to identify cures for many of them is absolutely fascinating. The other word that he is starting to use is prevention for blood cancer. And that's solely because of the state of the science, that we are unlocking the human genome and are learning, what might exist in a individual person's body that, should it get turned on, would result in a blood cancer diagnosis. So as we learn more and more what turns that on, we can identify things to prevent it from ever blossoming into a blood cancer. So it really is an astounding time, absolutely astounding time to be a part of the science community and what is being discovered. And, they always say that discoveries come in leaps and bounds, and that is truly happening in the space of cancer.
That's what I was just going to say. And it is. It seems like it's happening so quickly now. I mean, things that used to be like, oh, well, this changed in a decade. I think it's so dynamic and moving so much because, again, back to, having the talent and having the right people that are really spending a lot of time and effort on this. And, I'm not going to say that COVID's been a good thing at all. However, I think it really has put it in the forefront of many people's minds that, our body can do a lot of amazing things. And I love that prevention part of it because it's true. I mean, I have breast cancer in my family. I checked to make sure I didn't have the BRCA gene. And, there are definitely a lot of things that are happening so we can prevent it. So I want to take a little sidetrack, though, for just one moment, Kathleen.
Right?
I want to find out who you are more as a person and share with our listeners kind of who you are so that they can know kind of how you got, and then when they hear your story of how you got here, it kind of maybe might make sense. It might seem completely off. But can you share a little bit about when you were a child? Do you have like a story that's interesting and fun? I was a geeky kid, so I don't know about you, but I want to hear more about. Do you have a childhood story you could share with us?
I do. I was probably a total geek as well. I was a Girl Scout. My family was really involved in scouting. So the whole concept of giving back really has been ingrained in me from a really young child. And I don't know that I've changed, dramatically since then. Family is very important and giving back is very important. But I think, what really led me, and I didn't know that it was happening. What really led me here was when I was young, I hung out with, like all of us, with a group of about 5 girls. And we were that group of girls that our moms made matching overalls. And once a week, we all got donned in our denim flowered overalls. And we were just all that in a bag of chips on our elementary school campus. And we had a new girl, her name is Paula, join our group. And she was just the coolest, hippest thing. And everybody wanted to be around her. And I was just lucky to be part of that club that, hung out with her. Well, what we didn't know was that Paula had leukemia. And she came to us when she was in remission. And during the time frame that we were all together and doing Girl Scouts and doing all this kind of fun stuff, she had a reoccurrence. And they happened to live right across the street from me. And so this group of, 4 or 5 girls plus Paula kind of went through this recurrence of leukemia. And so, the wig, wearing a bandana over her head to keep the wig on her head, playing on the monkey bars, the wig would fly off occasionally and everybody would be in shock. And we as a group of girls would just gather around her and just be like, hey man, it's cool. This is just who she is. And we just kept, we just kind of protect. I don't know if it was protected, but it was normal. And we just made it normal. So, we went through this with her for a couple of years. And when we were all migrating into 6th grade, her family decided to move Dad got a different job. And the summer before 6th grade, she reached back out and said, hey, I want to come and see you. It's been a while. So, this is a 12, 13-year-old girl, very mature, asking, hey, I want to come visit you. I was concerned about, what does my hair look like? What am I going to wear to meet her? I got to maintain that essence of cool. And, in walks this girl who I didn't know it at the time, but was there to say goodbye to me because her disease had progressed to the point that there really wasn't anything else that they could do for her. And she was going through this process of some closure. And so she was visiting one-on-one with all of us and basically saying how much we meant to her. And literally within 2 to 3 weeks of when she visited with me, she passed. She just basically said to her parents, this hurts too much, I'm tired. And her parents were amazing and saying to her, we love you and you have a lot of control over what's happening. And if this is your decision, we want to support you. So, not until I'm a grown-up did I really realize, and I don't know if I'm totally grown up yet, but not until I was a grown-up did I really understand that she was giving me a gift and saying goodbye. And as I started off in my career, I went into something that was totally outside, something I always thought I wanted to do, but totally outside of who I was. And a nonprofit job came up and I decided to step into that. And I really fought my way in. I talked people into hiring me with no experience. And then ultimately a job came up at another cancer organization. And she just sat on my shoulder and basically said, this is your path and this is what you need to do. So my entire career has been spent, working in pretty much for curing cancer. And this last, where I am right now is really an homage to Paula, because this is where it all started. She was and continues to be, at 12, 13, one of the most impactful people, in my life. And the thing that I know based on who I'm working for now and the money that has been raised and how research has progressed, if she were born today, there would be probably a 95% likelihood that she would have survived.
Wow. That story. Wow, Kathleen. That just really blows my mind. And, Paula changed your life. I'm sure she didn't know it at the time. I'm sure that no one knew it at the time. You didn't even probably know it at the time, but she did. She changed your life. And that in itself is some purpose. And, for the way that, modern medicine has progressed over all these years, you're right. She probably would still be with us. But part of her purpose, I think, was definitely in touching your life and putting you on this path. And I am so grateful that you share that with us, because there are so many things that we look at in our lives. And sometimes we actually, I think, not specifically as women, just people in general, we try to ignore things because they're painful. But you actually allowed that to set you on a path that ultimately would put you where you are today. And that is incredible that you were open to that, first of all. And secondly, that such a young girl, not even barely a teenager, actually impacted your life like that. I hope you've talked to her parents or her family and told them how much this meant to you, because I think they would probably really love to hear that. If you haven't done it, I encourage you to do that. Because
I do my best, lost touch with the family, but have friends that still are in touch. And every year I dedicate some fundraising that I do in her, because she's really the one that started it all for me. Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely story. So, well, that being said, do you have one word that describes you? Because I know what comes to my mind right now, but what would be one word that describes you?
The first word that comes is just tenacious, because I am in constant pursuit of this dream that is a cure, and do everything I can to engage as many people in that vision as well. Whatever it is that they can do, I want to engage people, in that pursuit.
Wow. Well, I would say also tenacious and loving, because you've got to have a lot of that love to do what you do, because a lot of people would say, okay, that's just way too painful to meet people in that are battling this. Cancer is a terrible thing, and a lot of times it's very hard on your body, and treatments are hard on your body as well. But, to be always striving for the cure, which I think is a noble cause, but also an achievable cause. And I love that we're talking more about it today, and not just dealing with cancer, but actually curing cancer. Um, I, I'm here. I'm in awe of you. I really am. I am. I know that sounds funny, but I am. I'm in awe of you. And I really have a lot of respect for you. So I would say, when measuring success, that's got to look so different for you than it would generally most folks that say, okay, here's my business and this is what I'm building, because what you're building is a path to a cure.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different than most people's journeys. What does success look like for you?
It's really a very interesting question. So, I can't do what I do by myself. I don't know that anybody who's in, a leadership position can do that. So success really looks like when either the volunteers that I get to work with, board members and committee members and leadership folks or participants, when they achieve their personal vision or their definition of success, whatever that might be within the organization, that's what it means to me. And from knowing that I've got a team of people that are working with me on it, when they can have that individual success, which leads to our collective, success, that's how I define it as well. It's not just the things that I do every day. It's really being able to help somebody realize their personal potential.
Yeah. And if you look at, all of the people that are around you, they're working nonstop all the time. Do you find it more difficult during just every day, or is it when you have large events coming up? Like what feels the most difficult? Is it just every day?
That's such a great question. I think like any business, there's ebbs and flows. So I think to answer that question maybe a little bit differently, it's most exciting when we are leading up to something that could have, great results for us. That's when it's busiest. That's when the volunteers are most engaged. That's when our staff is most engaged. But that's when it's most exciting. It really does make what is tough about this job bearable and inspirational. When I was just on a Zoom earlier today, listening to some volunteers speak about their personal journey and what LLS has accomplished for them. It's those types of things that make me say, if they can go through what they've gone through, I can do this every single day.
Well, yeah, for sure. I always try to do that too. Put myself in their shoes. Okay, well, then maybe this can feel slightly easier. But so as far as balance, I mean, with work and personal life, is that more difficult when you're leading up to a large event, or is it just kind of the same? Because I think you probably would, when you're leading up to an event, isn't there that certain part of you that's like, okay, this is exciting for these reasons, because you're looking at what you can actually achieve and what that will mean as a translation to getting closer to a cure, right?
Absolutely.
So that balance, how do you find it? Or do you? I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier. I was talking to one of my guests, and I feel like I'm in constant search of that balance, and it looks different in different times, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it also depends on where you are, in your life. I think that balance is a little bit easier for me right now. My children are grown and don't need to, and that's a double-edged sword, because I think I had more balance when they were younger, when they needed more, more attention. But I think it's something that you're striving for constantly. And it requires, I go right back to that team of, my husband or my kids or the staff that I work with, but it truly is a constant balance. And there are some times that I do better than others. We have 3 events coming up between now and November, and so it's a very busy time, waking up in the middle of the night thinking about those things that I didn't get done or that need to be done. And you just have to center yourself and rely upon people, the good people that are around you, to help you get there.
And it's a tribe, isn't it? Or
Yes.
a village, however you want to put that. It really is, because again, back to what you were saying about leadership, it's not one person, it's all the people that surround you. And, speaking of that, how do you build the people around you? And have you had any issues with any barriers with people, specifically men, in your leadership? Or how has that looked for you in your journey?
I've thought a lot about that. And I don't use this word very often, and because I just think it's overused. But truly, my career path is I work in an industry that is primarily driven by women. The probably 80% of my employee base is female and always has been. And I personally don't feel that I've ever been held back. Now, I have an attitude that nobody is going to hold me back, which may be part of who I am and why I've been able to accomplish what I have. But every goal I have set out to achieve, whether it's a title or financial remuneration or, just recruiting a certain person, I've had, I just feel as if that I've had pretty good luck. I've had such inspirational mentors, both men and women, mostly women, that I almost feel guilty for saying this, but I really haven't been. My father was somebody who told me that I could do anything and don't let anybody tell you that you can't. My husband is the same way. My husband.
Yeah.
And he's my biggest fan. And, just have really never encountered, now here's what I've had. I've encountered people, gentlemen, that I've really had to think about what is my approach to them in order to get them to buy into something. So I am a bit of a chameleon, and I really do think about what it is that it's going to take them. What is the right, message or story that is going to take them to lean in? My Paula's story doesn't work with all men. Other things do. So I really have to think about who my audience is, or who is it the person that I'm really working to get involved, and have to adjust in order to meet their needs. So for me, that's it.
Well, I think that's just finding out what they're passionate about, right? And how do you bring their passion along with you and align with what your mission is? And so I wouldn't really call it a chameleon. I would call it more finding out what their true motivation is in life. And like for me, I mean, I can tell you're the same way because I've known you for a while, but I think motivation always comes from a point of love and having a true, genuine goal of people doing well and for them to elevate them. And I think when you're doing that, you're coming from that sort of position in life. I think everyone around you wants to be involved because they see your passion and they see what you're doing and how you are changing the world. And they think, well, how can I have my small part in all of that? How can I come alongside her and, put in, because not everyone has a ton of time. And I think that's, I think as a nonprofit, everyone has a role to play to come along together. And it can't always be everyone has a ton of time, because that's not, feasible for many people. We all have, our barriers with time management and all of that, and our careers. But I think having you say, oh, okay, so this person's passionate in this way. How can I bring them along? And everyone knows someone that's had some form of cancer. And the fact that you are the mission of Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is to not just focus on your cancer, but all of the other things that can be translating into different cancers, really helps everyone and touches everyone's lives in some way, shape, or form, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we have individuals who have their only personal experience, maybe, breast cancer, but because of the amount of investment and research that was started in blood cancer, but then has gone on to breast cancer, they're recognizing the importance of working with LLS. And it doesn't preclude them from doing something with maybe a breast cancer focused organization, but it makes them realize that if they want to be part of something even bigger, LLS is a place for them. So, well, you just said many very kind things, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
No, they're true. So some lessons in life that you could share with young women that are looking for, to become a leader. What would some of the things that you would say to them that you've learned, and then also how they might apply to their lives?
I think, now more than ever, again, how do we put a positive spin on COVID? We have learned that working from home and being productive and having a family and being able to support that family, not just that we can do it, but that the business world is adjusting to and catching up to that. So I think one of the very first things to say to a young woman is that you can have it all. You get to define what all is, and all can change. But it is really up to you to decide what is important, and you can have it.
I love it. That's actually boiled down to very succinct, perfect message. I love it. So, when I think about Paula and how you young girls came together as a tribe for her, I love that. I think that very clearly is why you're doing what you're doing today, because that early experience and, the way that you all came together. I mean, I know it seems different, but it's not too much different from what you're actually doing today. You're as a tribe for a cause, rather than an actual one person. So the cause is many people that are fighting disease. And, cancer is a terrible thing. And that is when, I think one thing that we've really learned during COVID is we have to be unified. There's no way to get through any illness or any pandemic singularly. And it does affect our mental health. It affects our bodies. It affects so much. And I think there's a greater awareness of it. And I think Paula actually set you on that very, very well to be equipped for what you're doing today. So I just wanted to say that. But as far as you're passionate, I see all the things that you're doing and listen to you, and I really am. I'm in awe, because for me, I'm just really, I get emotional over things and people, and I don't like to see other people hurt. I know you don't either, but you're so strong and you can deal with that. And I just really love that about you. So what are you most proud of in that journey and most passionate about?
I don't know that there's any one single thing. It's really okay. So here it is. cancer patients have something so strong to give to those of us who have not had that firsthand experience. And I think that really what I'm most proud of is the fact that I've been able to meet so many, and regardless of their outcome, have taken a piece of them with me, and done my best to help others to leverage their story, and brought other people along. So kept their story alive, kept them in some cases alive, and their legacy, just to continue, down this pathway. And long after I stopped doing this, those stories will carry on and carry people forward. And hopefully, I'm teaching, if you will, I'm teaching those around me that that's the way that you can get stuff done. Just keeping those stories alive and carrying them forward, and always reminding ourselves that, there is a person, there is a caregiver, there's a son, there's a daughter, there's a sister, there's a mother that is being affected by this, and that we need to put them, at the center, and just keep it going forward. I hope that was something of value.
Absolutely. And so that being said, do you have any specific advice that you would give to the next generation of young women that want to be a female leader?
So, I think it's fascinating that, people like Brene Brown have really come out and talking about, leadership. And we could just name hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but a lot of people. And they are fantastic. They are amazing. They are bringing the world into what might be some new thought processes. But I feel as if really what they're exposing is how women have always lived their life leading with empathy and just consensus building and collaboration. I think as a almost 60-year-old gal, I was raised in that environment. You got, as a leader, you got to be tough as nails. You got to tell people what to do. And that's not something that I felt that I've ever really done, because it didn't work when I tried that. So, really as a female, trust that empathy gut, trust that vulnerability gut, trust that you really do know what's going on, and use that to lead. And leading is, once again, right back to maybe one of the first things we talked about, is putting yourself in the shoes of the person that you are trying to lead, or the group that you're trying to lead. And what is it that they need? What is it that they need? And then help them get there. Women can really get stuff done. If we ruled the world, I really think there would be a lot more happiness and joy. So, encourage young women to really step out and believe in themselves, and trust that they really can get stuff done. Don't get bogged down in what you think people are thinking about you. Just, trust who you are, and show the world who you are.
Kathleen, those are such wise words. And I do believe that, a lot of times we're so hard on ourselves, and we let a lot of things get in the way of our success and who we become. And I just love it's such good wisdom. I really enjoyed talking to you. I really appreciate everything that you've had to say today. And thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we finally got it to work out. Thank you.
Me too, Rebecca. I feel like this has been a long time coming, but what a pleasure. You are, really an inspiration to me. You've accomplished a lot in your life in areas that just, I are really outside of my comfort zone. So I have I have just very honored to be a part of this. Thank you for asking me, and I'm just grateful.
Thank you so much.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
You have been listening to a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands. Find more stories at cloudcast.us.